Arataki numero uno ito here in the flesh. Ha ha!
Welcome back to Genshin Impact. I'll be finishing the trade of Providence. All I have left is the final quest. Don't say maybe. I will. This is all
Best flavor in the world? The sweet, sweet
taste
of victory. And that's why I've never spent a single more on
voice.
any of my snacks. I've won them all, fair
weird.
and square. That's right.
Yeah, I suppose I couldn't get Dory. Right now doing check-in for Mahoya. I don't think I checked in yesterday, so I'm doing it now. But it is too late. Hey, that's my check-in.
May the Dendro Archon bless us with a bountiful harvest every year.
Arataki numero uno ito.
Let's see. Quest. Continuing on this quest. Ask Dory for information. Well, if it isn't Ain and Paimon yet again. I have the latest update on the Academy Extravaganza. Would you like to hear it? How much is it? It's free, isn't Lord Sangama Bay generous? Do you guys remember Sachin? The guy who sponsored the Academy Extravaganza? I heard that the prize money and the item knowledge came from him. Bingo! In fact, not long ago, when I was doing business in the desert, I met the old businessman. And guess what I got from him? A dealer's ledger. With it, I can avoid dangerous areas in the desert and go to more places. Of course, the most important thing is that the ledger mentions Sachin. It turns out that Sachin had been to the desert to investigate the people's local conditions and customs. He also had cordial exchange with the traveling merchants in the desert. Much of the text is lost, but the first-hand account of the big sponsor behind his Academia Extravaganza. Would you like a look? Okay, let's have a look then. The sandstorms are raging, the caravan has stalled. We ran into the scholar calling himself Sachin. He said he could sponsor the caravan, provided that we... This is a trial of human nature, betrayal, plunder. There was nothing we could do, no one could withstand. If I could do it all over again, I would never have taken that money. Then they wouldn't have to die and wouldn't be living like this, a fate worse than death. People are the most terrifying animals in this world. This is all hard to understand. Dory, what does this mean? What does this all mean? I'm afraid that if you need it analyzed, it would cost you an extra $1 million more. Forget it then. Well, since you're not paying, that'll be all for Dory's special news. But let me give you a hint. There should be someone here who's been to a lot of Academia Extravaganzas. Perhaps you can talk to them. So they seem like they're in this town over here. Alas, seeing these young children, I can't help but reminisce about the past. The Darshan Championship has always been a stage for young talent. Unfortunately, not every genius will be successful eventually. Why do you say that? Geniuses are mostly stubborn and cold and find it hard to understand the pain of others. Empathic people, on the other hand, often fall into self-doubt and depression. People who are not firm can only stand still, while people who are determined but walk down the wrong path refuse to look back. There's a lot of things about here. Looks like the other one's around here somewhere.
Can't catch me!
For this year's Introduction Championship, my favorite has to be Sino. Aside from his skills as the General Mahamatra, looking back to the tournament's history, the Spontamad Darshan has the highest percentage of champions. Many people say that Spontamad Darshan produces many talented people such as Cyrus, Ruse, Zaka, Lisa, Sino. The brighter the talent, the sooner the game will lose its suspense. The most exciting competition was still 20 years ago. At that time, my friend also participated in the game, and I went to cheer for him. The last round was played in the Vidya Forest. In the end, no one dared to approach them, and no one knew what was going on in the depths of the forest. Then I heard the Academia shut down the competition. There, the Interdarshan Championship removed many of the events in which people fought to the death, discouraging people from being desperate enough to do so. What is your friend like? Let me think. He is honest and kind, but he is also vulnerable and sensitive. Most of all, he cares about us. When we drink together, our time is filled with laughter and cheer. It's just too bad that it's all in the past now. Among the friends we drank with, some died, some disappeared, some now live in seclusion. They say fate is fickle. Perhaps it's true. Looks like something did happen 20 years ago, right? Didn't Wakas tell us to seek him out if we had any questions? Now that we have time, why don't we ask him? Want to traveling around? Hope there are some rewards for doing this. So far it's just been XP tones and money, which I don't really need now. Let's see here. Yeah, money once you reach Adventure 60, all your XP turns from 1 to 2 coins. The 1 XP turned into 2 coins to get like 1,000, 2,000 coins. Once it's the other way around, I don't think it is though. And XP is the same. You get it from either Battle Pass or you could just get it with your resin if you wanna. XP tons. The incident from 20 years ago? Why the sudden question? Did you hear any particular information? We've heard that the diadem seems to have been lost 20 years ago, and some contestant personality has changed. You seem to know a lot about that. Is there something you're not telling us? Not exactly. I was 5 years old when it happened. How could I know? But there are things I never told anyone. I'm actually a part of the Academia Extravaganza's planning committee because of the influence of a senior colleague. That senior colleague and I met on a trip. He was a bit timid and would always flee and cower somewhere at the first sign of an emergency. One day, 4 years ago, I said to him, I want to go back to the academy. The Academy Extravaganza is about to begin. And then, upon mentioning the Academy Extravaganza, he got startled and said something about, it has nothing to do with me. When I said goodbye to him, he insisted on getting a drink with me. After several drinks, he started talking all sorts of nonsense. I also had too many, and in my drunken stupor, I didn't really hear him that well. I only remember that he said that he lost the diadem of knowledge for a while. He was in charge of the distribution and recovery of the diadem of knowledge, and that he nearly had a heart attack upon realizing that the diadem was missing. Fortunately, he finally found it in a tree hole, like the one we saw before. He said that the diadem of knowledge is very valuable treasure, which recorded in many ancient books. Legend has it that it was built by a famous craftsman in ancient times, and carries a secret that no one knows. Saturn had entrusted the Academy to safeguard the diadem after all. If my senior was responsible for the diadem's disappearance, he could not afford to pay for it with his meager wealth. Even if the loss of temporary, no one should know of it, lest the Academy find him guilty of gross negligence. So he covered it up? Yes, it seems that he also said that many people came to inquire about it, including children. But he said that the diadem had never been lost. But he was so scared that when things blew over, he quit his job and left the academy. I drank too much that night, and when I woke the next day, he was gone. The more I thought about it, the more I had a bad feeling that the issues would crop up in the academy extravaganza if entrusted to someone like him. I didn't have the job at the time, so I joined the academy extravaganza planning committee. I tried to investigate things on the inside too, but I couldn't find anything. And the diadem was found, and the man whose personality had said to have changed was dead, and there was nothing to be found. Still, a long time, long enough that people involved from the beginning no longer remember nor care. That's all I know. If you're curious, keep investigating. Maybe one day you'll discover the truth. That's easy for you to say. We don't have much to go on. Do you have any more information? Like where the senior colleague went? I haven't heard from him. Later, I also went to the desert to look for him, but the vast desert, it was almost impossible to run into him. To make up for it, I do have some information on Sachin. Would you like to hear it? Sure, Tuss. When I was traveling, I did so with an Eremite commander. While we were chatting, he said he came into possession of an article written by the Academy researcher. He said to think it was something precious, and refused to show it to anyone, only to let me peek at it at my request. I only caught a glimpse of it, but I saw it was signed by Sachin. I didn't know who Sachin was, nor did I care. After joining the Academy Extravaganza planning committee, that he was an important member of the Bahumana Darshan who sponsored the event. If you're interested, you can find the Eremite commander in the desert. He's usually in the valley of Dahri. Information laid to Sachin. Alright, let's go take a look. If I'm right next to the waypoint. Makes things easier, I suppose. What do you want? Whoa, this guy looks real fierce. Either say your piece or leave. I have no time for you. Actually, we heard that you have Sachin's article on you, so we're wondering if we could have a look. Are you kidding me? No. Why would you ask that? It seems like you guys really don't know. Some time ago I had the article appraised. Turns out it's nothing more than personal travel journal, and it is of little value. He hired my father to keep him safe. That Sachin fellow would often walk, ask, write, and mumble. There was no time his papers were blown away by the wind. Oh, one time. He said it was no big deal. My father, however, thought that things written by intellectuals must be viable, so he looked around for them at the night with the torch. None among my family can read. My father cherished this article and then passed it on to me. I had no idea it was completely worthless. Sounds unfortunate, but do you still have it? Yes. You want to have a look? You can look at as yeah, you can look at it as much as you want. Since it's not worth anything, there's no need for me to be so stingy. Okay, let's see. Once the gods reigned supreme, all life flocked to them like sheep, seeking shepherds, and those who suffered did so in silence. Now divine power has dwindled while human wisdom has blossomed. However, those who suffered face suffering still. There is a saying in Leeway that goes, life is like lodging at an inn, and in Uzuma, all things are but void. It hurts every time I read these words. I tried to seek the reason for this. The wheel of time turns, and the only constant throughout Sumer's history is human nature. Since arriving in the desert, I have conducted a total of 64 experiments over the course of 7 years. Men are like prisoners, or captured animals, feeding on each other's happiness until one is doomed to eternal torment. Therefore, where there is gain, there must be loss. Where there is happiness, there is agony. Everyone is a victim, but everyone is also perpetuator. Greed and numbness reside in the heart of humanity. Driven by greed, humans choose to commit evil, and numbness is why they turn a blind eye to evil of others. But if this is what the world is, what is then the meaning of the world? The future is to the present as the present is to the past. Peace was never an option. Conflict is the eternal truth. Everything, from my knowledge, my wisdom, to my life, is but nothingness. So this article that Sachin wrote, to be honest, Paimon can't make any sense of it. But judging by the crummy handwriting, Paimon can't say exactly why, but Paimon has a feeling he was going through a tough time. Oh, we're done reading it. Thank you very much. You're welcome. It's not worth any money, but I'm going to keep it anyway. After all, my father entrusted it to me. Come see me again if you want to have a look at it again. Another quest? We should take it and then sell it for 1 million more to Dory. There. Prize earned. Because that amount more is actually worthwhile. I only think I have like 4 million. Which really is a lot if you're trying to level up characters from 80 to 90. Or a ton of weapons all at once. It's time yet again for information cell from Lord Zangia Ma Bei. Would you like to purchase the latest reports? Let me see. This information isn't that important, so it'll go for only 500,000 more. It's half the usual price. What a bargain. Mind giving it to me for free? Whoa, you want to bring it down to 0 more? Just as I expected. But I am the great Lord Zangya Mei Bei. Well, since you're so interested, I'll tell you for free, but you must keep it to yourselves. I hear that 20 years ago there was a contestant whose personality suddenly changed after taking part in the competition. Well, it looks like someone saw him in Aru village. I wonder where he ended up. That's all the information you're getting for free. If you want to hear more, you gotta pay 2 million more. I appreciate your patronage. What a rip-off. We can just go to Aru village ourselves and ask around. Well, since he's been giving us everything for free, it seems like she's giving us a better deal than what we probably owe is like 5 million more now. Back to the desert. "20 years ago, a young man did appear here. Back then, life was much easier than it is now. Poverty, disease, ignorance, they tormented us constantly." I think it said harder, not easier. If I said easier, I'm not sure. That young man, clearly from the academia, with a bright future, was nevertheless willing to come here and help us. He taught us how to deal with Wenat and monsters. He bought us lots of medicine with money from his own pocket and took care of the ill all by himself. He sounds like a great guy. Yeah, too bad the good die young. He was always frowning, and no one knew what he was worried about. Everyone was wondering if he was going to leave us. This place did not have the means to properly host him. Still, many said that he was a bit crazy to begin with. For example, he would sometimes tell children a story about how, as a child, he taught a strange creature to write. That's probably the R&R. Later, he would often leave the village and explore the desert. Once I asked him what he was looking for, and he said he wanted to talk to someone from Nagar something group. Later on, I heard that he died in the quicksand. It is said that he encountered a caravan trapped in quicksand. On his way to investigate something, he saved many people, but he himself was unable to get out at the time. At the time, he was still a half-finished letter addressed to his child at home. After he died, my son took that letter with him, thinking about delivering it someday. Is that unfinished letter still here? No, it's not here. To live a better life, my son became a mercenary. He was killed in a scuffle a few years ago, and his belongings were taken. Many years have passed in a blink of an eye. I wonder how his child turned out, if they hold a grudge against him. Not many people know these things anymore. I'm getting old. Perhaps I'll forget these things soon, too. Okay, so that was the end of that quest. Time for the next quest. Go to the academy and look around.
Can't catch me!
Where were you while the rest of us were eating together?
I don't recall being obligated to report my whereabouts to you.
Did you go find another hidey hole to read in? You need to change your ways, you know. You can't survive on books alone.
Surviving on meals paid for by you would be harder still.
You? Whatever. It doesn't take a genius to guess what you've been up to. You were investigating Sachin, weren't you? It was obvious from your notes. However, I don't believe his research alone would have been enough to pique your interest. His way of doing things is disturbing, while you... Well, to be fair, your philosophy disgusts me too, but you and Sachin are nothing alike. I don't imagine your views intersect at all. Egoism and nihilism are not the same thing.
My personal interests aside, Sachin's legacy is not entirely meaningless. He conducted experiments on a great scale and left his findings behind. Also, thanks for the compliment, but I'm actually just passing through. I didn't come here for the conversation. Well, not this one at least.
What do you mean? What topic of conversation could be more sacred among scholars than the exploration of differing philosophies?
Well, based on what I've learned, Sachin and his disturbing way of doing things, as you put it, is very likely to have met your father 20 years ago.
What did you say? Wait, so... No. Surely that doesn't mean... Huh. So that's why he thought I looked familiar. My father must have gone into the desert due to his influence.
I'm afraid so.
Good thing I shattered that diadem. From now on, nothing like that will ever have to happen again.
The boundaries of knowledge are ever expanding. Someone else will inevitably pick up the same line of research one day, and Vahumana regards it as a reasonable research direction.
Oh, not this again. Even if you're right and people are bound to fall into the same intellectual traps, things won't necessarily go the same way again next time. You have to admit that the actions of one individual don't always predict the behavior of the group, and vice versa. Take Sachin, for instance. He's quite an anomaly.
And so is the one who stopped him. You. Conflicts of this nature are indeed exceptional, but it will occur again in the future. You said it yourself. The actions of one individual cannot predict the behavior of a whole group. You know that not everyone would have chosen as you did.
Even so, I stand by my views. You can forget about trying to convince me.
That's fine. We've been arguing over this for years, and I don't hold any hope of you understanding. The issue we're debating has long since moved on from who's right and who's wrong.
Thanks for letting me know all this.
What?
I said, thanks for letting me know. Hey, stop acting like you didn't hear me. You're doing this on purpose, aren't you?
They say that earnest thanks should be given thrice, so one more time, please.
That was nice that that one was voiced. Okay, that's all the event. For now. Let's see here. Let's just bypass over. I clicked the other thing. So yeah, I will probably just do this off camera, the rest of the mini games. What I have left is the combat one, and I'm not sure what the other one is. Oh, something with creatures. Okay, well, thank you for watching. Please leave a like and subscribe, leave a comment down below. Again, about what you think of the event. I think those last two questions have been both either voiced or just not needed to have happened, because we didn't need to know the information that badly. We didn't really learn anything from it. Although that last quest actually was fine. The one that wasn't voiced at all was unnecessary, I think. Anyways, later I'll be playing Ghost of Tsushima from 1 to 5 p.m. Mountain Time. And, yeah, I'll see you later.